say good afternoon. The California Public Utilities Commission came out with their decision less than an hour ago. Outside of the building, we still have protesters holding their signs.
They made a vote that was based on ignorance and corruption. They're charging people to not have a smart meter when they've forced people to have a smart meter. For some people, I want to say that for some people who have smart meters that were too afraid to remove their analog meters, they may appreciate this day, and I hope they take advantage of it, because for them, it'll cost less to remove that smart meter and get an analog than it would have if they had to buy a meter and hire an electrician. However, for many people, especially those on the delay list that have retained their analog meters, now they're going to be getting a letter and being intimidated. In 30 days, they have to choose to either pay or have that smart meter. And that's extortion. So I think this is really a day of shame, and it's a good old boy politics in action that we're seeing. And it's really time, this is really a critical time for this new paradigm shift into serving the people, not the corporate interests here. And the CPUC really failed miserably today.
They don't get it, that the fee is going to make so many people who would have been on the smart meter free zone to not do it, not bother. And that's going to affect a lot of people like me whose neighbors have, in deference to my health crisis, have been willing to have an analog meter. But they're not going to pay, and if I were to pay it, I figured out the cost. It would be $3,000 for the first years. And that's just for 15 customers. The truth is I would need more than that. We all have to stop using electricity. We have to take our smart meters off and put on analogs, not pay our bills, and just get stronger with these guys and just show more muscle. What else can we do?
This is appalling. There are so many problems with smart meters that it's just amazing that they can overlook the substantial problems and just move on with this program. This program needs a moratorium now, and we need our analog meters, beginning with those who requested them, restored immediately. There needs to be public hearings investigating all these issues. And it's just very distressing that the people that are charged with giving a safe, reliable service can't seem to be bothered with the logical and rational arguments for why this program needs to be stopped. So I think the next step is to have all these commissioners recalled. I'm dumbstruck that this has gone on. We've told them so many times for several years all the problems, and they're just not taking action. It's very distressing.
Hi, I'm Dr. Margaret Carman. I'm a chiropractor in San Luis Obispo, and I drove up with the hopes that we had a commission that would listen to the people. I felt like 60 people were not heard at all. There are so many problems with smart meters. There's health issues that are just I have patients that can't even live in their houses now because of the smart meter problems. There's privacy issues, there's insurance issues, but what I want to say, if from their perspective, smart meters do not save energy. People save energy. No one I know that has a smart meter is going and looking at the computer to see how much energy they've saved. It's not happening. How much energy did it take to take away your analog meter and put on these new meters? How much energy does it take to gather that data? California is the first state to go smoke-free, and we need to be smart meter-free. No opt-out plan that costs money. No smart meters. Come on, people. We can do it.
I'm dismayed by the blueprint decision that was made long before we got here. This is merely happenstance that they allowed us to speak today. It's just posturing by the government. It's simply power run amok. They went to wireless meters when only wired were allowed. They decided themselves to go to wired or wireless, and through that process, we are becoming ill. It's very sick. We still have the issue of privacy issues that are simply out of line because they do not, and nobody should have the right to know when we go to bed, when we get up, or what we're doing in the meantime.
Oh, I'm very disappointed in this decision. It shows it wasn't a well thought out decision. PG&E charging us to replace something they took away from us, and now we're going to have to pay for it to be returned to us. It's just extortion. That's all it is, plain and simple.
We have a commission that is betraying the democratic process, the people of California, who are putting into law a system that will extract money from those least able to pay it and those most vulnerable to the effects of the smart meter system. If anything, this vote is an end to a process, and it's also a beginning. Their vote today, and you can see it in their faces. You can see it through the silence of the industry. That they know that they're in the wrong, and it's just a matter of time before this whole wireless house of cards comes crashing down. So we at StopSmartMeters.org encourage people to continue to resist, to fly in the face of this unjust policy by looking into energy self-sufficiency and not depending on a centralized utility who generates their power from fossil fuels and nuclear power, who abuses their customers, who has this arrogant attitude that they'll always have these customers and they've got us. The way to escape from that control is to generate our own power, to organize local municipal utilities, and to boot these investor-owned utilities out to the curb where they belong. And short of that, people need to remove their smart meters. People need to refuse to pay these extortionate fees, and to organize in their neighborhoods, in their communities, in their churches and schools to learn more about wireless technology and the health threats, to show the power of the grassroots as opposed to the centralized power of corporate media, and always remember the truth and carry that forward. And that word of mouth and that grassroots power is way more powerful than the corporate media.
It's appalling. It's absolutely appalling, with all the thousands and thousands of letters, verbal complaints, and so forth that have gone to the PUC, to pg&e, and other utility companies, to the governor of California, to the President of the United States, and then to have them vote today to support Peevey, whose decision was rife with inconsistencies, with half-truths, with omissions, and so forth, is just appalling. It proves once again that people must be organized in the United States as a collective and consider that an injury to one, and in this case an injury to many, must be considered an injury to all. And so we need thousands of people crowding into rooms, not giving the room up until changes are made, and that's my position.
I'm not happy with today's decision because there are many people like myself that are EMF sensitive, and we can't live in a situation where we're constantly being irradiated. It's like being microwaved on the low setting and there's no way to turn it off. So for me, it's an unlivable situation, and unless everybody, a neighborhood and community, is able to opt out at no charge without hidden costs along the way or monthly adjustments or some other charges, it's just not going to be workable. And at this time, when we know that there are tremendous health hazards to EMF radiation, this is that RF radio frequency radiation, we're aware of the risks. There are international physicians groups that are talking about the risks, and we know more and more about the hazards, so it's time for us to wake up and realize that we're in a similar situation to when we noticed the problems such as with nicotine and smoking. It's something that when you start finding out, then you need to start taking action to make a healthier environment for all of us. So not giving people the option to opt out at no cost is not the right thing to do today, and we need to have the Public Utilities Commission listen to our needs for our health and to do the right thing. So this isn't over, and people aren't going to quit coming here until we actually turn this around.
I'm very disappointed with what happened today. Unfortunately, I'm not surprised because I understand, it's very hard for people to get what is going on. And I have a saying, you don't get this until you get it. Once you get pushed into hypersensitivity, it's too late. Your life is miserable. We need to stop this now before more people are pushed into hypersensitivity. I think it was very, very significant that Obama sent out, I believe it was the head of our Department of Energy, Chopak, to speak to the CPUC on this. They're really worried about what's going on, and they know that we have a momentum here, that people aren't going to take getting microwaved in their own home. And you know, it's ridiculous that this is how it is. We need to go to Obama. We need to go to the FCC. We need to demand exposure standards that are based on biology, not mythology or whatever it is that they're basing them on, because they don't base them on the truth, that's for sure.
They said you was clean and green, but you're just a ball of slime. Well, you ain't never been natural and you're breaking my heart. That's a crime.
I think somebody needs to arrest one of the commissioners. How about Peevey? How about one of the other guys? How about you taking and you decide?
You ain't nothing but a dumb meter. You got me crying all the time. You ain't nothing but a dumb meter. You got me crying all the time. Well, you ain't never been smart and you ain't no meter of mine. Pull the plug on smart meters.
You know, we didn't find anyone in that meeting this morning that was for those smart meters. 60 people had signed up to say no to those smart meters, so it was unanimous that the anti-smart